So not everyone has the luxury of owning high-end hardware. So for those who own dated PCs, media machines, or laptops, we created a top 10 list just for you. We gathered these titles with diversity in mind, ranging from different technical requirements, but also they vary in subgenre of MMO. Hope you enjoy. This is Attack Gaming's top 10 low-spec MMOs. First on our list, we're going to start with RUNESCAPE. RUNESCAPE is an old game, but that doesn't stop it from coming up on all these top 10 lists because of its great questing and plethora of activities that you can do in the game. It just simply has a ton of content. It is a thriving community, and part of the reason of its popularity is because of its simplistic art style and physics that allow anybody to be able to pick up and play. RUNESCAPE is the staple of the free-to-play MMO market, and it has been around for a while, and it's gonna likely stay for a while too. And another very popular free-to-play MMO, here's MAPLESTORY. So MAPLESTORY has seen many competitors come and go trying to emulate its art style and gameplay, but really none other has been able to garner such a player base and continue to provide content to such an extent. MAPLESTORY is making the list here because of its simple graphics, but really don't be fooled by its cuteness. There's a lot more to this game than a pretty face. As a side note, MAPLESTORY 2 is going to be releasing soon enough, and alike to its predecessor, will be built with low-end machines in mind. Well, if you like crisp but simple graphics, WAKFU is definitely for you. WAKFU doesn't really require much power because it is a 2D game, and it's also turn-based. But despite all that, it's very much a beautiful and artistic world that has a lot of color and character. Created with Flash and even has its own Flash-based animation series, WAKFU not only has a unique mythology because it is the sequel to Dofus, and story, but also very much it distinguishes itself from lesser quality free-to-play games with its art style and its polish. Now, for a game that is a bit crude around the edges, Realm of the Mad God. Pixel-based art is a great way for making large and action-packed games run fantastic while still utilizing a breeding genre of design. So, to nostalgic players, Realm of the Mad God is going to be a blast. Literally. This is one medieval MMO that actually utilizes bullet hell mechanics and open-world dynamic quests to make it feel like a living, breathing online arcade game. Permadeath, hardcore fast-paced action, and rude and crude but cute graphics make this a great experience for younger and older players alike. Next up on our list is a newer title that's got a lot to live up to. That is LEGO Minifigures Online. LEGO video games ever since Star Wars have pretty much all been fantastic, comical, and appropriate for all ages, with skill floors and ceilings that accommodate all audiences. LEGO Minifigures Online brings about an online experience, as you might figure, that matches the gameplay and quality of the console counterparts. But be warned, it has a very high skill ceiling. While it may seem cute, cartoon, childish, it's actually a very hardcore action RPG at its roots, and should provide ample challenge for the whole family. So probably the least machine-intensive game on our list, here's Rising Generals. Now while we're spotlighting the new game Rising Generals, let's mention that the developer, Eno Games, has a plethora of MMO RTS titles to choose from. Rising Generals has everything you would expect out of an MMO RTS, but with just a little bit more polish and character from counterparts. Truthfully, even if Rising Generals doesn't have quite the aesthetic that you're looking for, much of the library at Eno Games is completely worthy of taking the spot, so go ahead and check out those two. And if you wanted a more structured MMORPG experience, really look no further than Allods Online. Allods Online is aesthetically and mechanically very similar to the World of Warcraft, but trust, there are a number of things about Allods that very much makes it its own game. Compared to other free-to-play games, it does have a simpler art style, but at the same time, it does have a more action-based combat system and has far more unique world concepts and gameplay design, especially revolving around the PvP aspect of the game. It is a familiar experience, and it also runs very well on older machines because it itself is older, but it is still a great game to play for new players and veterans of the genre alike. Do you want a hardcore MMO that can run on your dusty laptop? What about even tablets? Then you're going to want to check out Albion Online. Albion is a full loot anti-Care Bear MMO, and it has its entire focus towards PvP. There are dungeons, creatures, and monsters to conquer, but those are just the stepping stones to world domination. Players must forge their armors and craft their own homes and workshops in order to prosper. Play on PC, Apple devices, or Android, and despite such high-risk gameplay, the controls and gameplay overall are very solid on all the control schemes and machines. It's cute, but colorful arts will probably make it timeless, but despite how simple its design is, the world of Albion is anything but. Want something with a bit more kick? Then there's one current gen MMO that should run on any modern machine. TROVE. TROVE is block-based, or voxel, very Minecraftian in design, but far more exciting and polished. TROVE is a very action-based game that has extremely aggressive AI and physics that might tease your PC a bit. But in the end, it is a title that is designed to be playable on almost any. Create entire worlds for people to explore, or go into the wilderness and conquer dynamically generated dungeons. It can be challenging, but overall it is a game that's easy to jump into and have fun in, regardless of what kind of machine that you do own. Hey guys, do you want an extremely action-packed MMORPG but don't have a gaming PC? Yeah, I know, it's kind of a problem, but there is a solution. Let's jump into Nexon's Dragon Nest. Alright, so what's Dragon Nest? Well, Dragon Nest is kind of an older MMO, but it's actually extremely popular. And even then, back when it was created, was designed to play on the medium of graphics power, but it still has some of the most intense boss battles and PvP of any free-to-play game or otherwise. Dragon Nest runs well enough. It's likely, though, the most intensive game on the list. Out of all action MMO, period, this is probably the one that's not only going to play the best, but also have the most fluid and outrageous combat of them all. There's a good amount of characters to play with, as well as a very nice level of customization. And the game is very much populated and constantly being updated. If you haven't tried it yet, regardless if you have a low-end machine or not, you should definitely try out Dragon Nest today. Hopefully you found at least one of these games that you would like to try out. But if there was a game you think should have been on the list maybe, then don't be afraid to give it a shout out in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in, and if you want to stay tuned for more top 10s and first impressions, then subscribe and check us out at MMOATK.com. Sure, welcome back, Attack, and today we're looking at WAKFU. Now, WAKFU is a Flash-based MMORPG, and they actually have another game called Dofus, and this is the sequel to that MMO. So this is a strategy game. You're going to be moving on tiles. It is a tile-based MMO, isometric view, and you're going to be moving on these tiles, and that also means for the combat, it's turn-based.